Most people completely misunderstand offshore and foreign company formation. And because of that, they assume it is either extremely complicated, reserved for large corporations, or somehow a loophole system with no structure. But the truth about registering a company in Sri Lanka is far more practical and far more structured than most people realize. And if you are planning to set up what many people loosely call a Sri Lanka LLC, there is something you need to understand first. Sri Lanka does not actually use the term LLC in its legal system. Instead, the closest equivalent structure is a private limited company, which functions in a very similar way by offering limited liability protection, separate legal identity, and a formal corporate structure. And if you miss that detail, you can easily misunderstand the entire process from the very beginning. Now, let's start with a story. A man named Michael from Texas had been running a remote digital consulting business for several years. He worked with international clients, handled online contracts, and received payments from multiple countries. At first, everything was simple. But as his business grew, something changed. Taxes became more complex. Payment systems became inconsistent. And he started thinking about whether he needed a more structured international business setup. One evening, while researching global incorporation options, he came across Sri Lanka. At first, it seemed unexpected. Most people think of larger offshore or international business hubs like Singapore, Dubai, or the UK. But Sri Lanka kept appearing in discussions about cost-effective company formation in Asia, with a structured legal system and improving business environment. Michael became curious. So he started researching further. And what he discovered surprised him. Sri Lanka has a formal company registration system governed by the Companies Act No. 7 of 2007, which allows both local and foreign individuals to register private limited companies. But here is where most people misunderstand things. This is not an informal offshore system. It is a regulated legal framework with proper documentation, compliance rules, and reporting obligations. And that changes everything about how you should think about it. Now, let's introduce another character. Zara, a freelance marketing strategist from New York, was also exploring global business structures. She wanted a company setup that would allow her to work with international clients, manage contracts professionally, and potentially expand into Asia-Pacific markets. When she came across Sri Lanka, she initially thought it might be too bureaucratic or too unfamiliar. But as she began reading more, she realized something important. Sri Lanka offers a relatively straightforward incorporation process, especially when handled through registered company secretaries or incorporation agents. But simplicity in process does not mean lack of structure. And this is where most people start making assumptions that lead them in the wrong direction. Now, here is the first key insight you need to understand. A Sri Lankan private limited company is a separate legal entity. That means it is legally distinct from its owners, and it can enter into contracts, own assets, and conduct business in its own name. That is the foundation of everything. Now, let's walk through the process step by step, as if Michael is actually going through it in real time. The first step is choosing a company name. Michael starts by brainstorming a name for his consulting business. He wants something professional, internationally usable, and easy to brand. But here's where reality immediately enters the process. In Sri Lanka, company names must be approved by the Registrar of Companies. They cannot conflict with existing names, and they must comply with naming guidelines. So Michael submits his first choice. It gets rejected. Not because of a major issue, but because a similar name already exists in the registry. So he adjusts it, refines the wording, and resubmits. This time, it is approved. And that moment matters more than people realize. Because it is the first official step where your business identity becomes legally recognized. Now Sarah goes through the same process. And she learns something important. Even in simple systems, precision matters. Now comes the second step. Preparing incorporation documents. This is where structure starts to take shape. To register a private limited company in Sri Lanka, you need foundational documents such as the Articles of Association, details of shareholders, directors, and the registered office address. At first, Michael finds this part overwhelming. Legal documentation always feels more complex than it actually is. But his advisor explains something simple. These documents are essentially the operating rules of your company. They define how ownership works, how decisions are made, and how the business is structured. Once he understands that, it becomes less intimidating. He prepares his personal details, defines his ownership percentage, and outlines his business activity as international consulting services. Sarah does the same, but she adds a slightly different structure because she plans to bring on remote contractors in the future. And this is where an important realization appears. Even though they are using the same legal system, their company structures are already adapting to their business goals. Now, here is a key insight. A company is not just a registration. It is a design of how your business will operate. Now comes the submission phase. The documents are submitted to the Department of the Registrar of Companies in Sri Lanka. In most cases, this is done through a company secretary or authorized agent, especially for foreign applicants. Michael submits his documents. Zara submits hers shortly after. And now there is a short waiting period while the registry reviews everything. And this is where expectations begin to shift again. Because many people assume company registration is instant. But in reality, it depends on document accuracy, name approval, and administrative processing. Michael's application moves forward smoothly. Sarah receives a request for clarification regarding her business activity description. She updates it and the process continues. And this is where both of them learn something important. Clarity reduces delays. Now the company is approved. They receive a certificate of incorporation, which confirms that their business legally exists under Sri Lankan law. Michael feels a sense of completion. But his advisor immediately explains something important. Incorporation is not the end. It is the beginning of compliance. Now, let's talk about what that means. A Sri Lankan private limited company must maintain proper records, file annual returns, and comply with tax regulations depending on its business activity and income structure. This is not optional. It is part of maintaining legal standing. Zara takes careful note of this, understanding that structure always comes with responsibility. Now let's move to one of the most misunderstood parts of international company formation. Banking. Opening a corporate bank account is often more complex than registering the company itself. Banks require detailed due diligence, including identification documents, proof of address, business plans, and sometimes client contracts or invoices. And here is the key insight most people miss. Banks do not judge your company based on where it is registered. They judge it based on transparency, activity, and risk profile. Michael prepares documentation, showing his consulting contracts, invoices, and service structure. Zara organizes her client agreements and projected revenue streams. And this preparation becomes the deciding factor. Eventually, both are able to open corporate accounts. And suddenly, their companies become fully operational. But here's where the deeper understanding emerges. Sri Lanka's company registration system is not about shortcuts or offshore myths. It is about creating a legally recognized business entity within a structured legal framework that can operate domestically and internationally. And that distinction matters. Now, Michael reflects on his journey. What he originally thought would be a simple offshore setup turned into a structured legal process requiring documentation, planning, and compliance. Zara reaches the same conclusion. And both of them experience a shift in mindset. They are no longer thinking like freelancers experimenting with structure. They are thinking like business owners operating within a legal system. And that is the real transformation. So here's the final takeaway. If you are considering registering what many people call a Sri Lanka LLC, the actual process involves forming a private limited company, choosing a compliant name, preparing incorporation documents, submitting them to the Registrar of Companies, and maintaining ongoing compliance after approval. But the real value is not just the registration itself. It is the legal foundation it gives your business to operate professionally, build trust, and expand internationally. And once you understand that, everything becomes clearer. Because global business is not built on assumptions. It is built on structure. And structure creates opportunity. So whether you are a freelancer, consultant, or entrepreneur, the key is the same. Understand the system before you enter it. Because when you understand the system, you stop guessing and start building with clarity. And now you understand Sri Lanka company formation far more deeply than most people who approach it without preparation. If you found this guide helpful and want more clear, practical breakdowns of international business structures, make sure to subscribe for more in-depth global guides like this.